Hi, I'm Randy Rock with Golden City Films, and this is my full review of the Defy G2X. I have the G2X here, and I've been using it for about a month off and on. And initially I was going to return it because I see all the new stuff coming out, but after doing filmmaking for a while, I've realized that you can't just buy the newest thing that's out. You need to find something that works for you and something that works for you every time. And that's finally what I have for my GH4s with the G2X, because just everything works the way I want it to. Okay, so just to get the small ones out of the way, I know there's a ton of them and I'm probably missing some, and it's NAB, so it's like they're coming out 900 of them a day, but here I have a small one that is $650, or was $650 on sale, and now it's $800. And then I've also had another one that was like $800, and that one was way better than this. This is by far the worst I've had so far. But either one though, they both had this kind of handheld gimbal, and they just don't work very well. Like, I'll turn it on. That's rad. And then you have to put it in, you have to click every time to put it into its mode. And now it's kind of working, but see how it's crooked already? Yeah, well, if you watch the footage from this, I went and shot a day with this, and there you can just see I just hit that by accident with my finger. That happens a lot, and it's because you don't even have to press this the whole way in. You can just press it a little bit, and it starts to come on, which is pretty terrible. And there's that noise until you set the mode. Anyway, the only thing I liked about this is that, like, it tilts up and down, but whoop-de-doo. I mean, I tilt my G2X up and down. I don't need a switch. It actually just made things more complicated. I know you can buy thumb switches for these if you want. I used to have one. It was pointless for me. So this is out as far as I'm concerned. Using this on professional shoots. Even, like, I don't want to shoot my dog in the park on this. So I'm going to sell that and get rid of it. So with the G2X, and you see here, I have the 12 to 35 Lumix. Make sure no matter what lens you're using, if it has OIS, turn it off. You will get the worst footage ever, and you'll blame it on the gimbal. And one thing I've noticed about the G2X is, like, every time that I think there's something wrong with it, it turns out to be something that I did wrong. So now that I figured it out, like, it just works perfectly. The first day I got the G2X, I was using, a much smaller 14mm pancake lens. I've used that. I've had the A7S on here. Just all sorts of different combinations because it's so quick to switch. Like, there's videos up on how to balance it, and there's one up from Drew from Defy, and if you follow that step by step and make sure it's absolutely balanced, it can take you an hour if you want to be that picky about it, and that's what I did, because you do that once and you never have to do it again. You do that once, and then when you switch lenses, you just adjust this right here, which is forward and back and left and right. The only thing that I don't like about this is it's one switch for two things. I'd rather have another lock right in here, like that would be nice. If I could just have this one be like front and back, and then this one be side to side, like with a separate lock, because otherwise you're doing both at the same time, and it doesn't really make it that hard, but it takes that extra second when you're out on a shoot. I've actually taken this on shoots on, like, music videos and different things, and I've actually for once felt comfortable switching lenses in the middle of a shoot, like in between takes, because it takes me like 15-20 seconds to, like, rebalance. But I do think it would be a lot easier, because there I just moved it to the side and it also moved up, and, like, that's not what I want. But anyways, it's pretty, that's like my one gripe about this thing. I mean, I have two total, but this is the one. If they had a separate lock in there, so these were two separate axes to move on, and you don't have to do it both at once. Now, there could be a pro if you're looking at it as you want to change quick, then yeah, it is good for that. So maybe that's why they put two on. But it is a little bit of a pain the very first time you're doing it, if you're going for absolutely, like, perfect focus, and then you can run around like a madman with this, and your footage is all, like, glorious. So the other thing it's similar to this that I did not like about this was when you adjust this here. Basically, like, this here is almost always gonna, like, you almost always want it to be straight, a 90-degree angle between these two right here. So I'm just not sure why that's, like, it's the same sort of thing. There's two screws, and while I'm adjusting here, the left and right, when you go to change this is also still unscrewed, and then again, I'd like another pin, like, right here, so these would be two separate, this up and down, left and right would be, or sorry, just left and right, would be one axis, you know, one knob, and then I wish one knob was for just this thing. So I don't know if Defy is going to do that. I don't think they need to, but I mean, it would, if they're looking for something to upgrade it a little bit, a screw there and a screw there, and it's honestly something I could do myself if it bothered me that much. I'm just trying to think of anything I can that really bothered me, but I definitely got a lot better with this over the month that I was shooting. Like the first day I was ready to return, I actually had it ready to return, and then I realized like I needed to operate it better. Let's see. Okay, because the first day I shot with it, when it took me like an hour to balance, you start out when you're balancing, and you'll see it in Drew's main video for balancing, so I'm not going to re-go over that, but you start with the battery out, and then you just put it back in at a certain section before you adjust a couple of the last few things. I didn't put a battery in. Don't do that. It messed up my whole day of shooting. I still got good shots, but it was a pain because it was not balanced right. So this thing was like, I had to keep reaching the camera to hit record and then hold it steady when I turn it on. And I mean, it's not really a big deal, but I don't know. So I use mode 1 for this. Like right now with this lens, I'd use mode 2. So I just hit the red button twice and then look for it to flash. And if I ever have trouble with it, like I just did, and this is something I've noticed with every single gimbal. I've never had a gimbal that doesn't do this ever, because you'll bump it on something, you'll do something. I'm toggling the on-off switch back here, but if you start, relatively balanced, and then switch it on, and then give it a minute to calibrate. Not a minute, like 3 seconds. Okay, and then you can hit the mode dial, and I'm going to hit it twice because it's depending on weight. So you got to figure out the weight of your camera and lens combos, and then figure out which modes you want to use with them. And actually with like the 14mm pancake, I can use mode 1 or 2, but it actually falls in the weight class of mode 1. So I use mode 1, and it's a lot smoother because it's not overworking the motors for no reason. Okay, see that flashing light there? It means it changed mode, so that's mode 1, and this would be mode 2. So I always, whether I'm, overslung with this or whatever, I always just, you can see this light in broad daylight, but I always stick my hand there, like after I press it once, to make sure it flashes like that. I don't know if everybody could see that. There's mode 2, and then there's mode 1. Just to make sure it's registering, and then it's good to go, and it's whatever, and like you can be a maniac with it. You can do whatever. And what I've been doing is I started off with my trusty small HD DP4, and actually have like just a random clamp here that I put in gaff tape just to make it fit the top handle, and I was using this with the monitor, and then I have the micro thin HDMI, I have the ribbon one, I have like 5 different versions, and I just stopped using them because I found that, if you know your lens, and you know about your field of view, you'll get a better shot if you just focus more on, your movement and not looking at the screen maybe. I mean, you can see the back of the LCD on this, so you can look, but if you just focus on your movement more, like you'll get the shot every time. Almost every time. I'll say 99% of the time. But I think that's more important than having a monitor. Other people will differ, and it would really vary. Like the shoot I'm going on would depend on, am I bringing a 5-inch monitor like that, or do I want a 10-inch, or none at all? And usually it's none at all, because then it's really light, it's really compact, this thing's awesome. Like, it's great, and it's like so quick to adjust everything. These batteries last forever. I have two. I bought two batteries. I wouldn't buy two unless you're doing like an 8-hour day, because they've gotten me by like 5-6 hour days, and I never changed it, and it was fine. So they last a good while. I think they're rated at like 4 hours, so I got two for a full day. But obviously they last a little longer. You don't always have it on set, you know. Okay, one of the things I do like about this that is very separate than these small ones or even, you know, gimbals sort of like this, is that you can remove this top handle if you want really quickly. Everything, this is entirely toolless. I've been hearing a lot of people complain about this little screw making this thing not toolless. Alright, well, if you're a cam op, start carrying like a quarter, you know, a gold dollar or whatever. I always have change in my pocket to change, you know, a little thread like that. That's not considered a tool to me. So this thing is completely toolless. And if you want, they have them on Amazon. I'm sure Defy maybe sells them. I don't know. But lots of people sell them. They have the little ring, half ring around it that you can twist it yourself. If you absolutely need it to be like toolless and coinless, then you can do that. But I prefer to just use a quarter because I always have one on me anyways. The other thing that kind of bothered me about this is the thickness of this cord right here. It doesn't mess up shots. It doesn't really mess up anything. What it messes up for me is when I have the camera on and I'm getting ready to turn, you know, the stabilizer on, and it's actually balanced really well right now, so I can't, and I just balanced it for like a second, or maybe while I was on video. But okay, so I mentioned one little issue I have with the G2X, and this is with all gimbals too, is this little cord right here. It doesn't cause the shots to be off balance. It's nothing like that. It's a small, you know, minute annoyance, but that's it. And I tend to balance my camera a little bit more this way to compensate for it, so it's not drooping like this when I go to turn the power on, because the more you have it level when you turn power on, it won't freak out, you know. So yeah, but pretty much that's the only time this cord would have any effect. Once the motors are on, they're way stronger than that cord. But I was having the issue where I'd turn it off in between takes and it would drift this way. And one thing I was going to do was just bring, like, honestly, a ruler just, or something like this. I'd usually just use my hand too. I'd just set it like that, press the button and grab on, and like you're good to go. So it's not that big of a deal. Nothing that I'm saying is a big deal. Like I really like this thing. I went from wrong lens. I went from not keeping it at all, not even thinking about it, to definitely keeping it. Some questions that I see a lot are, can I put a Manfrotto quick release system right here? And yes, you can. I don't have it on now because I don't need it. I have 3 bodies, so I leave one on here all the time. But you can put one on, it fits, you're fine. So please stop asking that question. It's definitely possible, and it's very easy to screw, you know, the acceptor onto this plate and put in a quick release system. I actually had the original G2. And what's cool about this one is it doesn't look that different, which scared me at first. But what is cool about this one is it's not a pain. It works. It's not going to vibrate and you find out your whole footage is garbage for the day because you didn't look on a big enough monitor, or it's just completely different. I remember I had the G2 before I had the G2X, and I had the G2 years ago, and I actually returned it because there was a lot of problems that were not solved. There's too many problems, and they solved them all with this, and Defy's done a really good job with this G2X gimbal, and I was really worried it'd be the same kind of story as the G2, it's a completely different animal. I mean, for one thing, it's completely toolless. It's, I mean, to balance, there's no program on the computer where you have to know all these things that I don't know about gimbals, and you can make fun of me in the comments or whatever because I'm not like a super gimbal software guy, but a lot of people aren't, and they just want something that, you know, works for them. So this is it. It's toolless, except for your little quarter that, you know, you gotta screw in your little screw. That's it. Big deal. But you can take off this top handle. What I really love about it is the overslung. I actually use a lot. And you see this cord here? This is one minor annoyance, but it's not a big deal. You just always got to make sure that you're not pinching that cord there, so you want to give it some leeway. So you can do an overslung. I could put these handles down here, which is what I do a lot actually, is I just like put one down here. Because then I can just switch from wherever, because I can just hold it like this, or then hold it like this. And, you know, I can switch on the fly, but obviously you can put both down. You can shoot underslung like normal. It's, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, I like this now. I've had it for about a month. So I've seen a lot of people on the internet, and they see you know, the newest ones are coming out at NAB, and that's great and all, but I haven't seen one that really does anything that this doesn't at all, or and little do I know if it does it any well. But I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna stop thinking about gimbals and stay with this because everything works the way it's supposed to. I can switch lenses on a shoot. I can go in there with that confidence. I took this little guy on to the dog park the other day, and like it's balanced all right, but it was tilting one way. So I was like, all right, I need to adjust that, and then I realized like I didn't bring a tool set or the tiny little tool that goes in here. This is loose actually, and that's not good. That means this vibrates loose because this was tight. But basically it was going crooked, and there was nothing I could do about it. I was stuck on the whole shoot with that because that's what I decided to bring, and all my shots are crooked and useless. So like I can use the ones where I shot in 4K, I guess, but yeah, I'm not gonna mess with those anymore. Okay, so here would be my top whatever, I don't know, tips and tricks. Any lens with stabilization, turn it off. You'd think it would work great. I've tried it, and I'll show you the footage with it on, and you'll see. So that's the number one thing. Make sure that's off. No IS of any kind. I don't care what kind of lens you have. It will be weird. The other thing, like I was saying, when you turn the camera on, it's really nice to, it's something that Drew actually mentioned in his balancing video, is to think of it as always holding one hand steady on something. So you can hold it by here, and then you're not dealing with all these other axes, you're just dealing with these when you're rebalancing or putting on a different lens or whatever. Yeah, so don't use the stabilization of any kind in a lens or in a camera for that matter. The G2X does more than good enough job of keeping everything stable, so you don't need to go overkill because it will just ruin all your footage. So the other thing I'm going to, like, this would be a nice tip that I would have loved to know like right away, is you'll see the back here, and in case you haven't seen it, there's the red button, there's the LED indicator, and an on-off switch. That's it. And basically what I was saying is when you turn it on, like, just hold the camera steady with one hand for like a split second till you feel it start to go from you, and then you can let it go. Because this is, I mean, you've all worked with gimbals before probably, but if I just started to start it like that, I'm pointing that way now. So now all my gimbal movements, for one thing, you're going to see this, but I'm going to have to over exaggerate like massively to the right to pan right. So I always kind of just make sure this is in place, and as I'm doing that, I'll turn it off here. I always turn it off so I'm not messing up the motors when I'm, you know, resetting it up. But I basically hold this, turn the switch on, and at the same time while I'm doing that, I'm leveling this straight up with this top handlebar. So, yeah. And you can obviously do it if you want, like, I don't know, if you want to say you want to tilt or something. You could start it like that and get extra tilt up or down or whatever you want. But yeah, it's possible. But then when you go to switch back to like regular moving, don't just twist it with your hand. Turn it off quick, turn it back on, and then you're adjusted again. So it's really that quick. It's like it's insane. This thing is crazy. I love this is my favorite move, the arcing shot, like, you know, the arcing hero shot. Okay, so one other thing I didn't mention from when I had the G2 to the G2X, and just with the a lot of other gimbals I've had, including like the full Ronin for the Epic, these rubber grips sometimes will start spinning on you. Not with this, not with the G2X, which is awesome, but with a lot of other ones, especially when you're holding a gigantic one, you know, like with an Epic on it, and you have turning rubber hand, it's just not good. It doesn't feel safe at all. This one does not do that, and that's something that I really love about this one is I trust this gimbal. Gimbals freak me out. I don't like them because there's too much going on. But this one I really like. This one I'm keeping, and this one it's now a piece of my, you know, it's one of my tools that I'm going to use in all my productions. Remember, make sure you put the battery in before you do like the last 2 steps of testing, like with this part, with balancing that. Make sure you put the battery in. And when you do the roll tests like this. Otherwise, you'll still get the shots, but you'll have a nightmare of a time. Like, I had a horrible time with it the first day I went out to shoot because I didn't put the battery in, like I said. So that was my fault. And then it's like everything I've been, every issue I've had, every little gripe I've had, besides like the extra little knobs that I want in those 2 places, has just been user error. And then so this has maybe been 3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe not even. Like I've gotten really comfortable with this, and actually like I took it on a music video shoot just to help a friend out, and they wanted it there like every day after that, and I was like, oh, I was just helping out. But the guys in the band, the kids acting, like everybody really loved it, and they loved the shots coming off of it. So I'll show you those too. But it was kind of cool because it shows that this, even though it's not, you know, you don't have a red Epic on here or whatever, and you have a small camera, it really doesn't matter. If people see the nice shots and the nice movement that you can do with this, they'll specifically ask for this piece of gear to come back. It was funny. I was actually shooting with one of my shooters that I shoot with all the time, and he has GH4s as well, and we're both using the same one, but he was going shoulder rig and I was going like this, and just because it's I mean, they like the smoothness of the shots also, but people that don't know cameras at all, they just saw it and they thought it was so cool, and they wanted me back on the set the next day, and they were willing to pay, you know. So it's something that you could use to get more gigs, I guess. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. Definitely a tip would be turn off the live viewfinder. Like, I store it like that so it doesn't get bashed at all or anything. But when I'm using it, that's flipped out. You don't want this sensor switching between your eye and the viewfinder and the OLED viewfinder. So you want it to just stay on live view. So if you just hit that a couple times, I don't know why it's telling me to insert my SD card again. It's confused. Okay. So yeah, the live viewfinder button. Right there it was on auto. So that will, anytime you get near this sensor, which it's not doing it right now, I can still see, here I'll show you, I can still see the screen. You're just going to see black obviously, but I can still see the screen even with it on auto. But there has been a few times where maybe it's when I'm tilting that it gets close to that sensor and it shuts off. So you can just turn that off and just leave it on live view, which is what I do. And as you see, this stabilization, oh, I don't know if you can see that, the stabilization is turned off. One nice thing to do, I need to get a little stand for this thing. One of the little stands like this would be great. I think I'm just gonna like put one together out of all this stuff I have laying around. I just haven't got around to it yet. But it's really not a pain to hold or anything. It's not, you don't need the stand in the sense that for the Ronin you need the stand so the operator can go like rest and not die because he's carrying 8,000 pounds. This one I just want to stand for like so I can sit it in my studio. That's it. Other than that, I mean, I'll just hang it on a C-stand. I'm fine with that. What else would you guys like to know about the G2X? And you're going to see a bunch of footage from all three of these stabilizers. In case you missed anything before this, don't buy any cheaper gimbals. This one it's only $2,000. That's a pretty low price considering you can trust in this. Like you can take it on productions. You know you can change. You'll know like in 3 weeks you'll be used to knowing it. You'll be used to operating it. You'll be able to switch cameras on set in front of clients while they're asking you questions and making you feel extra nervous and stuff. It doesn't even matter because you get so used to it. So this hasn't been on the whole time. That's why it's just floating around and doing whatever. But I really like that it can do that. And then in a second I can be shooting. Boom. It's ready to go. So yeah, I have no gripes with this thing. I'm definitely gonna use it. You can definitely depend on it. That's the biggest thing, dependability for me. I don't want to take this in front of clients and have this cool looking toy and then look stupid because I don't, it's not working right or it has some weird quirk. I've had a lot of gimbals. Like I said, I don't want to like mention them all, but I've had like big Ronin and I've tried cheaper ones and middle of the road, everything. And this is like the best low price that you're gonna find that is going to be trustworthy, which is becoming a big deal to me because I don't like to look bad in front of clients, so I want my stuff to be trustworthy. And it's really hard to explain if you have some gimbal that's like, doing the monster freak out, if I could even make it do that. Not really, no. But you know what I mean, where it just vibrates all over and it's going crazy and you have a client ask you what's going on. You don't ever have to worry about that again because this is so solid. And that's never gonna happen. You could see I couldn't even make it happen. And if you do, you flip it off, you flip the switch off real quick, turn it back on, it turns like 1 second. Like no one even knows when I'm turning it off and back on. It's like no big deal. Okay, so I guess to sum up really quickly is these smaller ones, I haven't found any of them to be reliable. They're definitely not toolless. They're definitely just not even on, they're very, very consumer. If you're even half serious about what you do, like get, the G2X, get something serious that's more like this. Or if you have a bigger camera, get one of the bigger ones from Defy. They've all been trustworthy. I mean, I have friends that use them a lot with their C100s and stuff like that, and I've heard no complaints. Like I said, I had the original G2, and there were issues there, but that was like when gimbals first came out, and Defy's really been working hard this whole time, which has been years, and they put this little package together that is just reliable, dependable, and it works perfect. I'm not going to say every time, because what I like about it actually is, I mean, every other gimbal is the same way, but it's still gonna depend on the operator. It's not just like, oh, I have the tools so I can run around like an idiot and it's all gonna look great. No, you still need to be, you know, like a cinematographer about it, and plan your shots, and, you know, be careful. You gotta walk slow. I mean, you can run really fast. I've done that too, but you know, if you're doing a close-up shot where you're getting lots of, you know, shallow depth of field, and you want to do a little arc around something, you still need to put in a little effort. So it's not an effortless. It's not just like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm here to film everything with this with no effort, and I'm going to treat it like this the whole time. No, you still need to, you know, just like any camera, you have to learn it the best you can. Get to the point where you can trust it on shoots, which will be quick, and then you actually have to try when you're using it. You have to actually use skill. So that's what's cool about it. So in summary, G2X, I've tried many other gimbals, many other little ones, new ones, older ones, bigger ones, smaller ones. I haven't liked them all. I didn't like any of them. I didn't think I was gonna like this because I had the G2 and I just didn't like it so much. And I'm sorry to keep mentioning that, but that, I mean, it proves that I have like a bias almost against this company, because I already had a product from them that didn't work, but it's been so advanced now that I will stand by the product because I'm gonna continue using it, and it's awesome. It just works every time. So it's a nice little package that delivers. If you put in your ounce and a half of effort of being a camera operator, you'll get every shot perfect. And honestly, you don't need a monitor, because if a shot gets messed up somehow, you're not going to find out till you get to post anyways, unless you have like a 32-inch monitor. So I find it a lot easier to get all the weight, get the variables of like dangling cords off, and not even use the monitor. I mean, I still have it for if I need it for a shoot for something, if I'm doing really shallow depth of field, like, you know, f1.2 or f.95. But I probably wouldn't use it. I'd probably still look at the LCD screen and then just know my, you know, my distance and my depth of field to get the shot. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, give me some questions or something. I'm on Facebook all the time. All I do is talk about camera stuff with people for no reason. So yeah, hit me up. Get your orders in for these. If you canceled it already for one of the future ones, I've seen what they have coming at NAB. I don't know what anybody's excited about. Please don't buy any of these little cheaper gimbals. With the money I spent wasting time on them, I could have like 4 of these now. This thing's solid, it's dependable. You can change lenses quickly, you can do stuff on the fly in front of clients while they're asking you what this crazy contraption is, and you can do it without even thinking about it. Like I said, spend that first hour that you get it, especially with your, if you're gonna use the same lens all the time, or you know it's like your go-to lens, just set it up for like an hour. It doesn't really matter. It's really based on your camera, not so much your lens. Set it up for like that full hour. Get everything exactly perfect, and as perfect as it can be, and then from there on out, your setup times will be like 2 seconds, like literally, like, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. But sometimes that's like a lot to spare on set, but literally 30 seconds is probably, I'd say, what it takes me to completely switch a lens from like a heavier lens like this for a GH4 to like a 14mm pancake prime. and that's basically just moving it forward a little bit and moving it that way a little bit, and it's all good to go. So I do that on the fly. I use this regularly now. I don't use it for every shot. One thing I thought was funny is after like shooting with this gimbal for a month and the other gimbals that I've been trying out and doing a bunch of test footage, is like I just remembered how much I love a static shot. So please don't use it for like everything that you ever do ever. You know, tripods are still cool, sliders are alright. I mean, you can do slider moves with this thing easily, you know, if I had it turned on. But I mean, you could obviously, I could get a slider shot of this right here, and it'd be that simple. Or I can do a jib shot, which that's another thing I really like about this, is using it for jib shots, because you can control the tilt and everything. But I know I'm out of frame, but I'm just showing you. You can go up really high, and also if you have it overslung, it's even better, because yeah, you usually want to turn it off and on before you oversling it, and then just grab it quick, and you're good. But from here, you could really go from a low jib shot to really, really high, especially if you walk up on something while you do it. So it is about $19.95 right now, I believe, for one of these, and the only thing extra I bought for it was one battery, which I haven't used, because this one hasn't died yet. They're supposed to last 4 hours, but I've used them longer, so I don't know. The one thing that's also really cool is you'll get all the custom foam padding in the box that this comes in, and it actually, like, it fits inside Pelican 1510, which is like a really common, you know, case that everyone has. The biggest one we can take on airplanes. This is the one actually, like, the Epic comes in, but you can just take the foam out of that and set the foam from the package. You can actually have it ready to go and travel with it, you know, all in a foam package, all in a Pelican 1510, and that's really nice. I'm trying to think of anything extra that I forgot, but I'll leave that to you guys, because whatever I forgot, you're gonna hound me for. So yeah, leave comments, subscribe to my channel. Yeah, I'm out of words. The 12mm Olympus is like the best possible lens to use on the GH, not possible, but affordable to use on the GH4 for this, and it's really light, so that's what I used for a while. And then I've tried things like just going to a 50 and like an 85, and you can imagine when you go up to a 50 or an 85, it's not as stable, but it only gives me a shaky shot at like 50 or 85 if I'm running full force. And you'll see me run out of my studio and upstairs in the test footage. Yeah, of course that's going to be shaky. But if I wanted to use a 50 for like following someone or a tracking shot, anything like that, even an 85, you can actually do that with this with like, and I don't have steady hands at all. Like they're not steady. So I was shocked when I put the 50 and the 85 on here that it still worked. Now, the only thing I cannot do, I cannot run ridiculous after someone like this with the 50 on. That's just not going to work. If you want to do that, I don't know why you'd want to do that. So please just I mean, that's the end of my review. I wouldn't buy anything cheaper than this, and I'm not calling this cheap. This is very well made. But the less expensive knockoffs on eBay and from China, nah, I mean, this is all made in the USA. The customer support is great, you know, like, if I want to, or if you want to, you can call the owner of Defy and talk to him. You can get customer service to walk you through balancing if you're having trouble with it. So it's just nice to have something you know is made in the US and you can call somebody about it. Like, if this breaks, I'll be covered. If this breaks or something, or I don't sell it, I gotta ship it back to like Hong Kong, which is to a non-existent company. I'll never get my money back. So yeah, don't buy the other ones like me, just buy this one. Alright, hey everyone, I am Randy Rock from Golden City Films. I'm a director of photography in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I freelance DP on indie films, feature films, short films, whatever. I've done everything from corporate to wedding to corporate internal to documentary, everything. But my favorite, my job is always as director of photography. So I needed to get. I was in the middle of working on a trailer for a feature film, and I used the big Ronin a lot with my Epic that I'm filming this on now, and it's just huge. And it made like little 10-second shots take so long that I had to find something else. And I have color matched the GH4 to the Red Epic, so it works as a B camera. This is like my 4K B cameras, and I have multiples of them, so I can get all the coverage that I need quickly and use the Red Epic for simpler shots that are on tripod, dolly, slider, whatever. But for all the really creative shots, I use the Defy G2X, and it's been working great. I can't wait to work more with it. If you're interested in working with me on a film, give me a call. Check out my website below. Leave me comments. Add me on Facebook. I mean, film is like my whole life. That's all I do is talk to people about it and, you know, work. So that's my review. Hit me up. I'll talk to you guys soon. Striking.